Hey everybody, Dr. Sandel here, talking about IVs. Last video we talked about Myers cocktail, which is probably one of the most frequently prescribed nutritional infusions. It's also something you can find at a lot of recreational spots. Again, make sure you find quality. Today I'd like to talk about my second favorite infusion, glutathione. Glutathione is a fantastic infusion. Glutathione is one of the body's master antioxidants and detoxifiers. It does double duty. And so if someone has had some sort of toxic exposure or they've had some sort of oxidative stress, and I'll define both those things in just a second, glutathione is usually used up. And our body goes through this constant process of using glutathione and regenerating glutathione. When we think about giving ourselves a bunch of extra glutathione through glutathione infusion, we're probably using it to try and solve some problem. Your body makes glutathione all the time. Actually, when we sleep, we generate glutathione. When we exercise, we generate glutathione, and we generate this just from foods we eat. Now, there are certain foods you can target, there are certain supplements you can take, famously N-acetylcysteine, also called NAC, which is, in a lot of people, a fantastic way to increase your intracellular glutathione levels. There's a lot of great data on that. But sometimes we get really behind. And there are people who get a toxic exposure, be that mold, be that heavy metals, be that petroleum byproducts, diesel fumes. And usually these people start to realize that something isn't right. One of the most common things that people realize is that they start to smell these things. If you walk into Home Depot and you go, man, it stinks in here. What is all that chemical smell? You probably have an overload of your detoxification systems. And your body has adapted to give you that feedback to say, hey, I'm not dealing with this. We need to get out of here. This doesn't make me feel well. Same thing for people who can smell musty environments. If you can smell a musty environment, you've probably talked to other people who don't smell it. Well, why is that variation? The truth is, you probably didn't used to have that sense. You didn't notice it either. But if you start to get behind on that detoxification process, there comes a point at which you go, oh, whoa, hey, I need to get out of here. That's what your body's telling you. So if you've had a toxic exposure, you're probably running low on glutathione, and that can become a chronic thing. That's actually a very, very common root cause for chronic illness. It's not necessarily the cause of, let's say, fibromyalgia, but it might be one of the causes. It might be something that if it's corrected, you're going to start to feel better. So, of course, you can always go to a reputable individual and say, hey, test my glutathione levels. That's a really smart play. You can also look at a lot of other markers of detoxification. And then ultimately, an individual is going to come around to the point, either because they have test data or because they've thought about it a lot themselves and said, I probably had some crappy exposure. And they're going to say, how do I increase this? How do I start to dredge out these toxins? And there are all sorts of different detoxifying protocols using far infrared sauna, sunbathing, hydration. All those things are important. They're all good. But at the root of all of those, we have to think about glutathione. Detoxification is a matter of handing things off. You want to shake things out of storage. You want to chemically conjugate them with glutathione or one of its derivatives, and then you want to excrete it. All of those things are important. And so if you have limitation on glutathione, you're hurting. And I will say that I am constantly surprised at how limited people are in their glutathione. Even people who are in pretty good health are often limited in their glutathione. They would feel better with a big dose of glutathione. And so we come back around to the idea of using glutathione as an infusion. If you are trying to increase your glutathione levels with an oral supplementation, you have to be really careful because there's a lot of junk out there. The supplement industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry due to uncertainty, poor standards, bad standardization. There's a lot of glutathione out there that does nothing. So be careful of that. And the reason a lot of it does nothing is because it's not stored well and it doesn't absorb well in the process that people give it to you. And so if you really want the top end, it's an infusion. You get great absorption, and if you have a reputable source, they've stored it correctly so it's fully active. So when you go to glutathione infusion, you're going to go into the office, you're going to hang out for 40 or so minutes, you're going to have an IV drip. It's a little bit of a spa therapy. If you're connected with a good practitioner, they're going to make your experience pleasant. They're going to answer all your questions beforehand. They're going to make you feel really comfortable. And then you're going to hang out and read a book. Now, a glutathione infusion, generally speaking, moves toxins. It's possible for people to feel poorly when that happens, temporarily. But most people are going to feel really light. They're going to feel mental clarity or a lift of their brain fog. They're going to feel a lift to their fatigue. They're going to feel fantastic. Just like we talked about with the Myers cocktail, the two questions are, how much do you need that glutathione? If you really needed it, you're going to feel great with it. With the caveat that sometimes you have to work through a little bit of toxins to kind of get to a place where you're feeling great with it. And then how long does that last? Well, it depends on how deficient you are, how strong your need for that is. But what we're really aiming for with glutathione is a resolution of brain fog. You should feel fatigued. Again, you should feel like you had a fantastic sleep. Myers cocktail, we usually get that sense after the chemistry kind of percolates for a bit. You notice it the day after. Glutathione is usually immediate. You usually walk out of a glutathione infusion and go, whoa, everything is bright. I'm seeing more clearly. Things seem less fuzzy. I didn't even realize things were fuzzy, and now everything's just sharp, high definition. I hear that all the time with glutathione. So that's a glutathione infusion, probably my second favorite infusion. It's a little bit trickier to use than a Myers. Most people are going to feel fine. You could just run the experiment yourself with that, but do talk to your healthcare provider about the pros and cons of that for you. Okay, guys, I hope this was helpful. We'll catch you later.